there's no doubt AI is one of the most, I would say, impactful and also a very powerful technology that a human have ever created. So, and we also see the AI is going through a really uh, adoption cycle, but also I consider as a super cycle. Everyone's saying there's a bubble, certainly in equity markets, but from a tech point of view, we see a really good S curve in the AI adoption and AI innovation space. Um, so the bigger question, like who owns AI? Like if you ask that question, it's straightforward today is only like around 4 to 5 companies. 4 to 5 corporations control pretty much all the AI networks, services, and etc. If you look at like the community-wise, AI communities, like the biggest ecosystem and community is Hugging Face. Hugging Face also happened to be a private and owned by a corporation. So if you think about AI, today AI more like a political, like you have Western um, AI and also you have a sort of other regions, and they are kind of in a fight to prove who's bigger and better. Um, to me, AI kind of like a modern version of Ark of Covenant. So who has the biggest AI capabilities, showcase the power to the rest of the society. It's kind of like in signaling theory, uh, showing who has the biggest capabilities. Now the challenge for me personally, when you have so much concentration, because it's not just the AI, the very same company also happen to be the largest, let's say they are the largest data custodian. They have the biggest data centers. They have also happen to have the largest social media platforms. So it's a heavily concentrated ecosystem. If you look at as a pyramid, uh, it's basically we have all the users underneath. We have the corporations owned by asset managers, and who's behind asset managers, we have no idea. So it's kind of a pyramid. Uh, the structure that we have, how the AI talent, knowledge, distribution, everything is constructed. Often it's fall under few group of people. Um, it's predominantly run by tech CEOs and also asset managers or larger shareholders behind those corporations. Um, like for us, obviously, we don't have much say uh, for who gets what, because essentially you cannot say as a citizen or a user, you don't want this feature, you don't want these functions and etc. So they just whatever the solutions that they built, whether it's a ChatGPT or Grok or any other AI services, they just provide to you whatever they think is right. Now, historically speaking, like if you think about like a small group of people decide what is good for society, and they basically tell you this is what you should want. This is the same concept that we had for thousands of years. A lot of these like empires and also these kind of dictators, they decide what is good for society, and they just did it behind closed doors. And even though it's not extreme, but if you take a step back and if you think about the structure is kind of the same, right? So we are on the bottom, uh, like the consumers, and then you have the ladders. So there's not much difference compared to thousands of years to today, how these things have constructed. Um, to me personally, it's kind of a very scary, because you have all these combinations, specifically like having all the AI infrastructure, data, the social media, all under one corporations, like a small group of corporations, and they happen to like we're supposed to trust them, right? Or we are hoping they will do the right thing. Um, I mean, this is how a lot of disaster happens, because if you're relying on a small group of people to actually decide what is good for society, it doesn't always go well. These are simple examples like in 2008 financial crisis, because small group of banks decided to they're given a lot of power. They're given a lot of mandates. They're given a lot of incentives, but also from a regulatory point of view, they're given a lot of freedom. And obviously, they made a lot of mistakes. And who suffered? People suffered, right? So that's the situation. And this is not just a recent event. If you go back in history, this happened over and over again. So when you're given so much concentrated power and regulatory, let's say, freedom, these smaller group of people, they will do whatever they want to do. Um, so if you think about this kind of a, let's say, structure, if you go beyond, like right now, we are type zero civilization, right? So we are still in a kind of the growth stage. In the next maybe 100, 200 years, we will be progressing into type 1 civilization. Now, the great question for us, if we become type 1 civilization, are we going to have the same kind of a corporation controlling solar system level, data centers, AI solutions, and etc.? So it's becoming, it will be, it will become like a let's say, quadrillion market cap corporation controlling the solar system, right? So if you go down this path, this is where we're heading. So from a democratic point of view, like democratic principles and democratic philosophies point of view, not a small group of people get to decide what is good for society, right? So we all should share that right. So that's why I think the current AI space and AI industry, it's not designed in these democratic principles. And then if you look at the access to AI, like Western world, it's easy to access these services. But if you look into um, like the rest of the world, like Africa, Asia, it's very difficult to access AI services, especially like obtaining AI services, especially if you want to build something. Because if you have to spend like $100 a month on hosting service, that's like maybe someone's like a 3 month salary in Africa. And beyond the infrastructure cost, if you look at the users who are, let's call it entrepreneurs, most of entrepreneurs are non-coders. So if you look at a high level, AI is being centralized heavily right now, and also a lot of people can't afford, a lot of people can't access. Now, if this is going to be a really important thing for society, so we have to think about a little bit more different, like a different architecture design. So on the left hand side, the centralized architecture. This has been the the I would say the bedrock for most of the IT systems today. Like even to this date, that's the predominantly like the main architecture, centralized architecture. In the last maybe 5, 6 years, we see a really good progression in terms of decentralized distributed systems. A great example is Bitcoin network. So we're seeing sort of an evolution of digital infrastructure, but also decentralized. So back in the days, like 20, 30 years ago, maybe when you say public infrastructure, people are referring to like roads, transport, electric grid, and etc. But today, public infrastructure can be IT infrastructure, something like maybe Bitcoin network or Ethereum network. So I think the IT infrastructure is considering to be like a public infrastructure. Is been happening for quite some time. So if you look at during the internet era, uh, the TCP/IP protocol, it's changed how we communicate to each other, right? So all of a sudden, people used to be in smaller regions, but then it became like a smaller village. So if you look at Web3 era, uh, with Bitcoin network allow anyone to talk to each other. Uh, in a way that you can share your Bitcoin with someone else. It's kind of like a living and breathing ecosystem. There's no middleman, there's no company, there's no CEO behind Bitcoin network. So if I have a Bitcoin in my wallet, I can transfer to anybody without any middleman. So there's no permission required for me to send my Bitcoin from my wallet to someone. So that changed a lot of I would say paradigms, because often when you're thinking about any transaction between two parties, they always you have a middleman. The middleman will verify what is being sent and what is being received. So for the first time in history, you have a network that living and breathing and also treated like a public infrastructure, but there's no middleman, there's no company. So OpenxAI, we see the same kind of a solution. So our OpenxAI, even though we are the founders, we are the initial creators, but it's a global network. You've got tons of data centers and nodes running in the network, so anyone can access. There's no registration required. If you guys used our network or our platform, there's no registration, there's no terms and conditions. You can just basically access our network. Um, and also the way we are seeing our network is progressing, especially for anyone to launch any AI services and AI apps without having any middleman. Um, the name, the way we came up with the name for OpenxAI, obviously is a fun story. Maybe I can talk about that in another time. But I think a lot of these solutions that we see in the ecosystem, um, they started with like open source, but then they turn into somewhat like a corporate structure. That's the evolution for most of AI services. But what we are seeing now, we're seeing a really good, I think, confirmed evolution in the AI space. And obviously, some of the evolutions are cutting edge. That's why a lot of people don't even hear about it. So if you think about the closed source AI services, which is predominantly controlled by corporations, that's the majority at the moment. That's on the left-hand side. And then you have open source AI, which kind of like a MIT open source license that you can take it, you can customize, you can resell it, you can use it for personal or commercial purposes. And then you have a decentralized AI, which kind of like a open source software with a token and a community. So that's changes a lot of things, because the token, having a token in your ecosystem, that giving you sort of a distributed governance, or maybe voting capabilities. So there are really good use cases. But what I'm really excited about personally is the next iteration, which is the permissionless AI. Same way how you can access Bitcoin network, and you can interact with the Bitcoin network regardless of your location. You could be in North Korea and you can access Bitcoin network. You could be in Africa, you could be in anywhere, and there's no registrations, there's no um, any permission required to access the service. So it's not from accessing the service point of view, but also you can, if you're a creator, if you want to build something, you can build that in a network. So then people can also access that. So, so for me, like when you look at the AI space as a whole, like launching your own AI startup, it's kind of like watching a movie in 90s, right? So what I mean by, like, if you really think about before streaming service like Netflix, if you really think about the journey of watching a movie, right? So first you have to think about, I want to watch a movie, and then you have to take a transportation to go to a video store and pick a movie and say hello to the cashier, smile, and make a payment and take a transportation back, and then you basically watch your movie. So it's a long process, right? It takes a lot of time and effort. With the streaming services, you basically can click one button and you just watch whatever you want. It changed everything, right? That's why streaming services are very, very popular today. So uh, let's look at if you were to start an AI company, if you're an AI builder or AI entrepreneur, what does your journey look like? So your journey, you have to come up with an idea, and you need to figure out where to host your AI services, and you need to start building your AI service, which means you have to build your backend, databases, front end, and once you build, let's say one, two, three steps, then if your AI service require like some sort of a payment integrations. So let's say you need to accept payments from your customers. Then you need to integrate like credit card payment systems, right? So like Visa, Mastercard, and etc. So and in order for you to receive funds from the credit card payment provider, you need to have a bank account. So that's step number 6. You need to go and open a bank account. And in order for you to have a bank account, you need to have a company. You need to register for a corporate registration. So even though AI is very, very popular, AI is like very, very common, but the experience of going from 0 to 1, it's very, very painful. So that's why if you think about the stages that a lot of AI startups going through, um, it's a it's a very, I would say, complicated, depending on the region. In Australia, for example, if you were to set up a company, it can be quite easy. Getting your bank account, getting your company registration done, it can be quite straightforward. But if you go like places like Africa or places like Middle East, um, like in Dubai, for example, if you were to open up a company and register for a bank account, it can take up to like 3 to 6 months to get your own bank account. And if you go to certain regions like Africa, people don't even have bank accounts. So if you want to go from 0 to 1, and if you want to offer AI services to anyone in the world, you probably won't be able to, to, to do that if you are in those regions. And the other thing, like who can actually uh, talk to, let's say, credit card payment providers and immediately get a kind of acceptance to integrate that credit card payment system onto your website. Not many people can do that because they're also reviewing who you are. So all these like a like a online SaaS credit card payment systems is not available for everybody. So that's why I see, like with our platform, we are cutting all the banking requirements, having to have credit card payment systems, having to set up a company. Everything will be removed. So how we do that, we leverage Web3 technologies. We leverage Web3 technologies, leverage crypto, we leverage like Web3 wallets, the same way how Netflix basically cut all these processes. We do the same thing using the latest technology. If you think about like before internet, the example that I showed you, people have to go to store and buy the DVD or CDs or VHS cassette to watch the movie. Um, Netflix cut all of that processes. So we do the same using Web3 technology, uh, leveraging wallets instead of having a bank account. If you were to build like a custom SaaS solutions, you can leverage smart contracts. So since the user also the only I would say the owner of the infrastructure that you build, uh, the privacy itself becoming like a really important for you and for users because you control the whole infrastructure, and the only person who can access the data inside your infrastructure is going to be you, because we leverage the cryptography to encrypt the data on the server. So typical servers you have to access through like SSH key, or you're using your email. We leverage something called Web3 wallets. So we leverage Ethereum network. So Ethereum network is one of the safest and secure networks in the world. We leverage that security to encrypt your data, encrypt your backend. So that's a really strong value proposition for IP protection, but also AI privacy. So OpenxAI, at a high level, like I mentioned, it's a peer-to-peer AI network. The same way how Bitcoin disrupted in the money industry. So Bitcoin made money borderless. We're trying to make AI borderless. So the main use case, anyone can basically come to our network, come to our platform, launch an AI service, and it can provide that AI services to anybody without having any middleman, which is a very a great use case. So users can provide these AI services, and end users, builders can provide these AI services to anybody, and then consumers can interact directly with the builder. So it's basically builders and consumers can meet each other without a middleman. Um, Unlike traditional systems, like we call it Web2 systems, our network, we leverage the next evolution of the internet, which is Web3. One of the key component for us is the permissionless. Permissionless means you don't require any permission to access or consume. So we have two different, I would say, components on OpenxAI network and OpenxAI protocol. So OpenxAI network is the network. These are physical infrastructure like nodes, data centers, and connectivity between those data centers. And the protocol itself, it's the software layer, the logic layer, how users can interact with it. So it's a full stack solution we've been building for the last 4 years, roughly. So we have an infrastructure layer, we have orchestration layer, we have a marketplace, and we also have a really great user related interfaces. So again, I'm going to skip these things. I'm sure you guys have seen some of that, but at high level, you can go to our app store. We have app store. I can show you our latest app store. What does that look like? So this is our latest app store. In the app store, we have foundational models for people to start utilizing and building. And we also have a marketplace where builders can push those your AI products into the marketplace so other people can discover. So the cool thing here, you can differentiate between marketplace and building. In the builder section, you can go into the builder section, then you can utilize any foundational models, and you can just start deploying it. So here, I'm going to do a quick demo how this platform works. So here, since we tap into a lot of unused compute and unused infrastructure and GPUs around the world, so it's kind of like a Skyscanner for GPU or Skyscanner for compute. So users will have a lot of, I would say, affordable compute and GPU compared to Google Cloud or AWS or Microsoft Cloud. So here you can utilize these types of cheaper servers that are unutilized on a data center. So therefore, you can actually save tons of, let's say, costing for hosting and infrastructure costs. And then you can use crypto. And when it's come to like business, if you want to create a specific monetization, instead of using credit cards, you can basically build completely using Web3 technologies. So you can offer your service for free, or you can actually ask people to pay for your service, and you can charge from cryptocurrencies. There are stable coins, and you can charge from Bitcoins if you like. And then instead of having a bank account, you can just use a Web3 wallet. So your payments can come to your wallet directly. In terms of your protecting your IP and also privacy, you basically control it because it's attached to your wallet. And instead of registering for a company, you can use smart contracts. So these are sort of like innovations that you can utilize to go from 0 to 1 without having going through all these long long processes like setting up bank accounts and etc. Once you build your app, you can ship that into the marketplace so anyone can discover. I think it's a great, I would say, paradigm shift how you build and consume AI services. So I'll wrap up my slides here. So the goal for us is being able to give a solution for any builder, whether it's a technical builder or a non-technical builder, launching your AI company under 5 minutes. So I think that's our key message, but also the key enabling factor. I'll just showcase just a few things in terms of value prop or value proposition from our network. We are 80% cheaper compute and GPU. In terms of the model ownership and privacy, we have a great AI privacy. So this is a benchmark test that we did running DeepSeek R1 for 12 months. As you can see, the blue line is OpenxAI. So it's a significant price difference in terms of hosting costs. You can also go to our platform, compare the specific types of whether it's a GPU renting costs or AI infrastructure hosting, storage costs, and etc. You can compare the pricing between OpenxAI and other infrastructure. So at a high level, we are very excited to see all these builders are coming together and building things and collaborating these kind of initiatives. One final message to all of you, like what we are seeing now, like the first world countries actually going through kind of like a good evolution of technology. If you think about internet time, people go through from dial-up and then fiber connectivity, and then going to 5G. But if you look at like developing nations, they never had dial-ups, but then they have 5G straight away. And I see like we are enabling those kind of evolution. I think this is where we see things like OpenAI. They are like the IBM of the technology. They are very corporate. They build large scale technologies, very expensive. Solutions like DeepSeek, they brought all these capabilities into affordable to everyone, so you can get the same capabilities in a lot more affordable way. OpenxAI is pushing that into the next level, that bringing that affordability, bringing that accessibility to anyone. So thank you very much for my listening for my presentation. But overall, very excited to see your all these solutions that you guys built, and I'm excited to invite you to our marketplaces so you can upload your products and solutions directly onto our marketplace. Thank you.